Showtime.
Welcome, everyone, to the Rosie and Bill Show. BFF is an acronym that's been used far and wide in all forms of communication. So much so, it's even evolved into becoming a noun. But BFF is also the name of a nationally known company that's all about best friends forever of another kind, our pets. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show, actress, reporter, entrepreneur, and BFF to pets of all shapes and sizes, Heather Branch. Heather, welcome to the show.
Hi, Bill, and hi, Rosie. Thank you for having me on the show. It's great to meet you guys.
Heather, in your previous career, you worked as an actress and as a reporter, a traffic reporter in Los Angeles. But in 2011, your career path took a dramatic change. Talk to us about that and what inspired you to take a different path.
Okay, well, I was doing traffic reports in Los Angeles on one of the biggest stations that does news and traffic. And I met my husband at work too. So that was, we were married by then, and he had a dog and I had 3 cats. And so we had our blended Brady Bunch pet family here. And what I really loved every time I came home from work was that my dog was so happy to see me. She'd jump and do twirls, and just is that happiness, that joy was, I couldn't wait to come home. And I realized I wanted more of that in my life. When you think of making a change sometimes, what you want to do is think about, what do you like? Like, what's your joy? What brings you joy? And I'd come home and that was it. And I'm like, I want more of that. And we had to have a pet sitter. We searched far and wide for a professional pet sitter because, having cats is one thing. And there had been some mishaps with the cats and their care before, but you can't take a chance with the dog. You can't miss a day, you can't even miss a visit. So we had to go the professional route. And I found that it was hard to find somebody. So I realized there was a need for that in my community. And as I would walk my dog, I'd look at everybody's house and there'd be a dog at the gate or a cat in the window. And I thought, every single one of these people is going to need me someday. If I choose to do this, if I, just trying to take an assessment of the target market, the neighborhood and all that. So, I went to the animal behavior college, because I only had that one dog, and I thought I need to know more, I need to know what to do. So I learned dog obedience training and veterinary assistantship through the animal behavior college. And it was a year of online study and mentorship with a dog trainer, and in the back of the vet office, I interned. And then I approached my pet sitter because she was professional and I didn't want to step on her toes. And she was good and we didn't want to lose her. And I asked her about the career and the pros and cons, and if we could have lunch and if it would step on her toes or not. And she brought me on to work for her for a couple of years and taught me everything that she knew and just kind of passed on her legacy and helped me build my business. And then our companies merged and she moved on to do other things because she'd been doing that for 10 years already. So she was ready to move on. So so I got out, I was able to leave my radio job because I had so much work pet sitting that I could no longer do both. And it just took off from there. And I did join the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. It's an association, nonprofit, for education and teaching, just conference networking education for pet sitters to become more and more professional. So we have conferences, we have webinars, we have networking, we have chat rooms, and we all help each other all over the country. And we have a board of directors, which now I'm on the board of directors. And 3 years into my business, I won the Business of the Year from NAPS. So there's like 2,200 members.
Well, on that note then, Heather, what services do you offer your clients?
Well, right now, the biggest service is the dog walking, the midday daily dog walking, or midday regular dog walking, 1 to 3 times a week. So we do Monday through Friday dog walking. We definitely do cat sitting. And when I have my team in place, and as you know, COVID disseminated everything for a year. So we're just starting to rev back up. But I had the best cat sitters on my team, and myself and we just took care of the cats very well. And we also do overnight services. I do a lot of overnight work. So in the tail end of 2019, no pun intended, I did so much I was 3.5 months gone from my house, back-to-back overnights. So it does take a toll on the home life, you know. And I was trying to get out of radio so I could, you know, ease my schedule, have a better schedule with my husband, but it was kind of out of the fire into the frying pan.
You know, you brought up COVID and its impact, Heather, just a minute ago, and I want to come back to that, but I've got to circle back real quick on something that you shared, and it really struck me as you were saying it. You started the business in 2011, and then a couple years later, you're Business of the Year by the National Association of Professional Pet Sitters. Then you're on the board of directors. What do you attribute your success to, and how did it happen so quickly?
I think that I attribute my success, number one, to that I didn't just say, hey, I like pets. I'm just going to start making money doing that. I laid the foundation. So I went to school to learn how to do some dog training if I needed it. Now, I chose not to go into the dog training aspect of it because I'm got a soft heart, and if a dog looks at me the right way, then I'm like, oh, well, you can have the treat. You don't need to sit. It's okay. So I probably be the worst dog trainer, but I learned, you know, how to get them to sit if I need to, or just ways to hold the leash, or all kinds of different things, little things. And working in the back of a vet office, you learn how to give shots, hold an animal. You know, that was beneficial too. And then also mentoring with my pet sitter, with her blessing, learning, not just assuming I know it all. I learned from somebody who already was in business for 10 years. So I think all those, so I already started with a good client list. They had already known me for 2 years. And, you know, I just, I think that those laying the foundation is the best part.
Your humility and willingness to, like you said, say, hey, I don't know everything, and willingness to get training, it does sound like it really served you well. Now, yeah. I have a kind of a funny question, but how many pets, how many dogs is it safe to walk at one time? Does it matter how big you are?
Well, I learned that for me, I prefer to walk one dog at a time, even from the same household. Even if the client will say, well, I walk them both, or I walk all 3 or 5 or whatever at a time. And I'm like, well, I'm not you, and it's not my dog. And I need to be able to react quickly if something happens. And if a garage door is open, then it's like, I'm just getting, you know, okay, is the dog going to jump out? You know, like, I mean, anytime a garage door is open, a dog could be liable to just run on out right towards your dogs. And I need to be able to pick them up or do something. So that's what I prefer.
Yeah, I mean, we've all seen people walking 5 dogs at one time.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, you know, if something happened, or if especially if it's a bigger dog, I mean, how much control do you really have?
Yeah. Well, I'm not that type of dog walker. And that, you know, there are pack walkers, and they know what they're doing. And, you know, I've seen them do it well. but that's just not me. So I do private walks and even private, and sometimes from the same household, the dogs really like that extra special attention. They like that special one-on-one walk. I can tell they do. So, mhm.
Well, that kind of leads us into the next question about the attention.
Yeah.
With the pandemic,
Yeah.
everything has changed. It has had an impact on us for sure, but it has also had an impact on our pets.
Yeah.
How do you think it has impacted pets?
Well, first, the cats were annoyed the whole year. Like, what are you doing here all day?
Oh.
The dogs were like, this is fabulous. We love it. You know, just they're here all day. And now that things are opening up again, even the ones who used to go to work all the time, that the dogs were acclimated to that. Now they're acclimated to them being home. And people are saying to me, I'm kind of worried about separation anxiety. So I think that's a new huge thing. What I see out there nationally is that a lot of people got puppies, you know, and they didn't train them. And now they're sending messages to pet sitters, professional pet sitters. Oh, we're going back to work and our dog is strong and pulls and, you know, reactive to people and reactive to other dogs. It's like, you know, it's actually, you know, a little bit of a problem for us. You know, a trained dog is a much better dog for us to handle. I mean, we're not trainers generally, and we're not being paid to train them. So sometimes I think that customers or potential clients might think, well, they're professional pet sitter, they should know, they're a professional dog walker. They, you know, not think about it, but the training is a whole different thing, and it needs a commitment, and they need to be trained. And I do suggest hiring a pet sitter, a professional, to come in maybe once or twice, 3 times a week, even 5 days a week would be best. But if you can do only 1, 2, or 3, that consistency is so good because, and to get them used to it, even if you're home, because then they're going to know who that person is. The last thing you want to do is come into a house that you never met the dog or, you know, I mean, that they don't know who you are because they're very territorial. There's some online kind of apps now that are like, just press the app and a dog walker will show up. Well, who is that person? And even though they've been background checked, that doesn't mean anything. And how do you know your dog is going to like them? I mean, I think that I always do a meet and greet and even a walkthrough, maybe if I have to, maybe a walk with the owner another time, or leave a shirt. I'll leave a shirt or a sweatshirt for them to keep smelling me so they know who I am when I walk in the door when they're not there.
That's a great point, because as you were talking about that, you know, just press an app and somebody shows up, I'm thinking that might be okay, like with DoorDash, if you're having food dropped off outside your front door, but someone who's going to come in and socialize with your pet, you've got to know a little bit about that. And there's got to be that break-in period, that getting to know period. That's some really great advice that you just offered. And I've got another follow-up question where I may ask for some advice or some tips as well. And that's on the flip side of COVID. So I couldn't help but laugh when you talked about the cat's reaction to being home, because that would have been my guess. And I assume they'll be the first ones to have a party when people go back to the office or wherever it is they work. But it's a 2-part question. One is, will pets vary in how they react to people going back to the office or back to work, i.e. dogs versus cats? And secondly, is there anything you can think of that people can do to kind of prepare or slow walk, no pun intended, their pets into that transition back to the way it was before COVID?
Yes. Well, I would say that maybe you want to start looking for that professional dog walker if for a dog, you know, or even just for company. You know, maybe your dogs don't go on walks. That's fine, but have somebody come in and spend time with your pet while you're there, even still working from home, but anticipate eventually that you'll be leaving. And also, now is the time to start getting your dogs used to you not being home. So now is a great time to go out for an hour, do an errand, and maybe extend the time. So if they're really separation anxiety prone, then do it for maybe if it starts out at 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, incrementally, you go out, but you're always coming back with the treat. So then they'll be like, oh, they always come back. Oh, they always come back. So, but build it up. Don't just one day leave them there for 8 hours, you know?
Yeah, I always wondered if dogs could tell time, but based on what you're saying, they must have some semblance because they're always so happy to see you when you come back. But that's a great point you make as far as incremental increases.
Yes, I feel that that's very important. And also having that consistency of somebody coming in at a certain time, midday or something. The dogs that I did walk through the pandemic, because for whatever reason, people working from home or couldn't walk their dog or just, you know, helping me out by keeping me on. And we developed a great system where we would get the dogs from the backyard instead of just, you know, to keep everybody safe, but still keep going. So that those dogs are really well acclimated to everything. My husband is an airborne traffic reporter. He's in the airplane flying, and his pathway is right over our house. So, and my dog can hear his airplane coming back, and he gets up at 6:20 every day. And actually, the days that he lands early for whatever reason, maybe weather is coming in or something, he still knows. That's why I know he knows that's his plane, which is really weird. But he just gets up and he goes straight to the front window and looks out.
That's incredible. I've heard that animals can be like psychic. So that's very interesting that you say that.
Well, I can always tell when somebody goes on vacation and the last day of the vacation, when they are getting ready to, maybe they're in Hawaii or wherever, they're getting on a plane 3,000 miles away, and the cat, the pets, all of the pets know. They know, even if it's not even close. I could tell.
That's amazing. Well, Heather, we want to have a little fun with you. We do this thing called rapid fire where we just start firing questions at you.
Okay. Oh, good.
It's all good fun.
And there'll be, we'll try to keep sort of a central theme, but you'll get the hang of it in just a second. So I'm going to go first, and this is a question that I've wondered about for a long time. What breed of dog do you think is considered to be the smartest dog?
I'd say maybe a German Shepherd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Would you also say that they're the most territorial?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Now, I didn't have this question written down, but I'm going to flip that question. Is there a breed of dog that maybe is the other way, the not so smartest dog breed?
Well, I have something in mind, but I don't want to say.
Yeah.
I will tell you a story about a German Shepherd.
Okay.
I was walking a German Shepherd, and he and I were really bonded, and I did a lot of overnights there. They went away a lot, and they were friendly with us, and so they said, well, you know, your husband could come too. And we thought, oh, that's you know, on a weekend, that'd be nice. You know, I hadn't seen him in so long. And so we hired a pet sitter for our home, and the plan was for him to spend time with me at the house, this great house, and the German Shepherd. And the German Shepherd didn't like that too much. He stood over my husband, planted himself over my husband, and stood over him the whole night. I just looked at him in the face, like, and we couldn't go home because we had a pet sitter at our house.
Well, was it dangerous though? Was there any chance that the dog was going to bite your husband?
I don't think so, but he was just like, don't even think it, buddy. She's my girl.
Oh.
But we have had an incident with a cat that my husband helped me with this cat, and the cat was volatile, and he was trapped in the hallway, and he was scared. And he was like, Heather, get the cat away, you know. And he's like, I'm going to have to wear snake boots coming up here again, you know. So sometimes even cats can be.
Were you able to get the cat away from him?
Yes, but I saw he was pale as a ghost, and he was just like,
wow.
Yeah, I'm terrified of this cat.
Oh my, wow. Well, on a lighter note, is it true that people tend to start to resemble their pets over time?
I think so. I think my dog Izzy, the first dog that we had, and I sort of resembled each other.
Now, I'm going to go back to cats for just a second. So, this is another question I've wondered about for a long time. Has a cat ever come when you called him?
They look up if they hear their name the right way. I had to change one of my cats. I had named Otis. And then when I moved out here, and then I started noticing she never looked up for Otis. But every time I said the word pretty, she'd look up. And I'm like, oh my God, like your name isn't Otis, it's Pretty. So I changed her name midway.
I like that name, Pretty. That's
Yeah.
neat. How do you feel about feeding your pets human food? Is that a no-no?
Technically it's a no-no, but and I won't do it for other people's animals because, I mean, that's just, you don't want to, but my own dog is very spoiled. So yeah, he gets a few pieces of chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a bonus rapid fire question, and this is going to tie in something you talked about earlier with something I just witnessed during a walk in the park over the weekend. So I wanted to know, is there an etiquette or a proper way to handle a situation if you're walking, let's say, in a park or on a walkway, and your dog's on a leash, but someone else has one, or in this particular case, they actually had two dogs that had leashes, but they weren't holding the leashes. And these dogs went up and all but attacked this poor woman who had this dog. And they kind of engage in a little bit of a shouting match, which I didn't really hear that well because I had earbuds in, but I'm thinking that should be an easy one. Like, you should have your dogs on a leash, but how do you handle that if you're the person who's following the rules and that other person just lets their dogs run wild?
Yeah, I don't like that. It's a huge pet peeve. There are leash laws, and it's just for the safety of everybody. And sometimes I hear people say, "Well, my dog's friendly." It's like, well, maybe my dog isn't, or maybe your dog is friendly with. Maybe it's not friendly with my dogs. I don't know that, and these aren't my dogs, So this is a huge pet peeve. Whenever I see that, and I kind of am trained to see 10 feet away, 10 miles away from me in a way, like as far ahead as I can to see any kind of potential threats. Because walking a dog, I mean, I know everyone thinks this is kind of an easy job and all that, but really there's, potential threats every single second you're walking a dog outside,
For sure.
Well, this situation that I was talking about got a little heated, and I think the people actually were a little more heated than the dogs. But you bring up a great point in terms of this guy may have been saying my dog's friendly, but the other person, this woman that had her dog on a leash, maybe hers isn't. That's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that angle of it.
And then all of a sudden you're the bad guy,
right? Because you're sticking up for yourself. It's interesting because what pet owners don't understand is that not everyone is an animal person for whatever reason. They might have a fear, and even if the dog is friendly and they pick up on that fear, they might react differently than they normally would with a person who isn't afraid, who they don't sense that with. So I think it's really important, like you said, to uphold that etiquette. And I have a last little quick story. One time I was running years ago in my neighborhood. I thought, I'm going to go out for a run. It's a nice summer day. And I did have my pepper spray with me. I got in this one neighborhood, and all of a sudden, two big Dobermans run from across the street from the house to me. And they're in the street and they're barking at me. And of course I stopped. Like instinctually, I stopped dead in my tracks, and like they were coming toward me. And I looked down, and I had my finger on my pepper spray. Not that would have done a thing with those two dogs, But I thought, let me look down to let them know that I am not challenging them in any way. I am submissive, or whatever you want to call it. And eventually, they came fairly close to me, and they finally got bored and went back to their house. But the whole time I wanted to scream to the owner to say, come get your pets. Like, I don't know where the owner was. And I was shaking like a leaf. And as soon as the dogs went back, I waited and I walked to the end of the street. As soon as I rounded the corner, I sprinted, the rest of the way home. And I'm like, oh my God, I was shaking. And I actually haven't been on a run there since. And that's been years. So I was very traumatized by that. So how should people behave in a situation like that where they're threatened? Because some schools of thought say you're supposed to kind of yell at the dog to let them know to stop, and so what do you suggest?
Well, I think that what you did was great, because you looked down, like you had that instinct to be do a submissive, and maybe you learned that from a dog that you grew up with, or I don't know, where it was an instinct, but definitely I would do that too. And then you could lick your lips sometimes, and we do that for new dogs that we meet. If they seem like they don't know who we are when we're meeting them, you can lick, like, just go, just let them know that you see dogs do that, like just lick your lip a little bit to let, and it's a submissive kind of move.
What does that say to them?
I don't know. It just says, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what it says to them, but I know that's a technique we learned at dog training school. And then, or turn your back, protect yourself, turn your back, anything that you can do,
Okay.
And then sometimes it just happens in the moment, or you just raise your hands and you're I don't know, I guess your body can also kick in and tell you what to do without even knowing,
Right.
I think in situations like that, a lot of times you're not really going to know what you're going to do until it happens.
Right.
But at least having some thought ahead of time, or some preparation, mental preparation, can maybe help do the right thing. So that's why some of these tips, and like you said, you could be running into unknown situations every time you're out walking one of your dogs as part of your service. And
one thing I would suggest, if you're looking for a professional pet sitter that you could look at the NAP site, because we do have a Find a Pro locator there. So what you do is go to the petsitters.org website and go into Find a Pro, and you can put in your zip code and see if you can find a professional pet sitter that's committed to their career. And you want somebody that has insurance. So their insurance is a big important factor. And also, if they have staff, you want them to have employees. So that way the employees would be covered under workers' comp.
What area does your BFF service?
We service the Northridge area of Los Angeles, it's North Hills, up in the Valley area, the Mid Valley, Northridge, Granada Hills, just surrounding area.
Okay.
Are you taking on any new clients if there's anyone in that area that's looking for your services?
Oh yeah, we're always open to discussing your needs, and if I can't help you, I can. I do network with other pet sitters, professionals that like myself, and I can even point you in the right direction. And even across the country, somebody emailed me from Virginia the other day, and I pointed her in the right direction and gave her some tips for cat sitting. So
that's great.
That's fantastic.
Oh, my website, if anybody wants to check in, is heatherthepetsitter.com.
Appropriately named. Wow, fantastic. Well, Heather, thank you so much for what you've done for all these years in terms of just making pets' lives better and making the lives of the pet owners better, knowing they've got someone they can trust to do things the right way and take care of their pets while they're out on a walk. And we appreciate the tips. We appreciate having a little bit of fun. And most of all, we really appreciate you coming on the show and joining us this week. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciated being on the show too. So have a great day, and take care of your pets. I think you might have a cat, right, Phil?
No.
No?
No, that's never going to happen.
Oh.
With all due respect to cat owners, that's never going to happen.
Aw.
I guess I should never say never. I highly doubt that would happen, but there's been a few dogs along the way.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Heather. We appreciate it. And
Okay.
we wish you the best of luck. And folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Go get the ball. Go get the ball. Go get the ball. What are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me? You look pretty happy. You look pretty happy. You look pretty happy. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa.